this is going to be one of the most important videos, so pay attention. Now let's get on with it. If you haven't watched my last video about the data, I'll pop it up there. It's there somewhere. Watch it after this video so you completely understand why I mean data is the most important thing ever. And then I watched another video on YouTube from Lark Funding. Again, flowers to you, because I didn't know this calculator existed, and I'm super happy that he let me know that this calculator existed, because this gives you the actual data of your edge. I didn't know this one existed, so if you guys didn't, then there you go. Now you've got it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the step-by-step process on how to use this to figure out, is your edge actually profitable? Now if you haven't got this data, that means you haven't been journaling, which means you haven't been trading seriously, and you haven't been treating trading like a business, which means you don't care enough. Right? So if you haven't got this data, you're going to have to work your ass off to get the data, for tested data anyway. It may take you a month, it may take you 2 months. I don't know on your time span of how long it takes you to get data. So for me, I would say at least 20 trades, get a good sample size of how you performed, and then you can put the data into this website what I'm about to go through, and I'll leave the links for these websites down below, because it was a kind of a huge eye-opener for me. I already knew of the data that I put in manually, right? Because if you haven't watched the video, my book's hidden away somewhere. Here's my book. Right, my book, my little notebook of my data that I've got. Not only is it in my journal for Google Sheets, but it's also written down in my notebook, because that's just how I process information better, right? So I've got that data, and now I'm putting it into the machine, and I'm just going to walk through everything with you, because if you haven't done this already, you're going to want to do it, and it's going to let you know what's the likelihood of you blowing profit from accounts. Alright, so this is the risk of ruin calculator. So the data that you need to have is obviously one for your journal or whatever, right? Well, mainly for your journal. If you've got TradeZella, get the data from that, plug it into this. So you need to understand your win rate. So for me, as I went over last video, I've got a 7% win rate with a 1-to-1, right? And risking 1% per trade. So let's put that in. So I've got a 70% win rate and average profit and loss. So average profit earned per winning trade divided by average amount lost per winning trade. So for me, if you're on a 100k account, it'll be you win 1,000 or you lose 1,000. So it'll be 1,000 divided by 1,000 equals 1. Okay, risk is 1% per trade for me, and number of trades will be, let's have a good sample size of 100 trades, right? I think that's quite fair. I roughly do 15 trades a month on average. So I'm just going to do 100. So if I do 15 trades a month, then roughly in a year, I'm going to be doing, call it 15 times 12 is going to be roughly 180 trades a year. But I'm just going to keep it 100 because I feel like the maths will be better. And I'm going to have 10% drawdown. So that 10% drawdown will be FTMO's overall drawdown that I can lose. So it won't be the daily drawdown, because I'm not going to break that, because I'm only trading once a day and I'm only risking 1% a day. So I'm not going to violate the daily 5% drawdown. It'll only be the max drawdown. So the max drawdown for me will be 10%. So let's calculate this. So the risk of ruin. So the risk of me blowing my account with these statistics over 100 trades, right, is 0.009% chance of happening. Which is insane, right? 0.009% chance of me blowing my account. Now, that already is a huge psychological advantage to me, knowing that I'm not going to blow my account. If I stick to rules, if I do something stupid, start risking more than 1% per trade randomly, start trading when my edge doesn't meet the rules, all that stuff, that will affect results. But if I just keep it how it is and the data that I've received, I will not blow my account. Now, when you got this information, you take this data and you put it into an equity simulator, right? Again, link for this will be down below. Now, I've already kind of played with it, but let me just put the information in differently. Let's just say it's a 10K. I'm risking 70%, or I've got a 70% win rate. My win-loss ratio is a 1-to-1. Let's do 100 trades like we did before. 100 trades. And I'm risking 1% per trade, and I go start simulation. And all you can see, the equity curve is going up. We can also see that the max drawdown that I'm going to experience is 6%, right? Over 100 trades. So I know that I am not going to blow an FTMO account by breaching 10% drawdown rule, because the max I'm going to experience is 6%. Okay, the average drawdown that I'm going to experience is going to be 3.5%. So again, perfectly fine. It's not going to break the daily drawdown rule or the max drawdown rule. But again, daily doesn't really matter because I'm only trading once a day anyway. And the average performance is going to be 49%. So the max I'm going to lose is roughly 6%, and the max or the average gain I'm going to get is 49%, which is insane, right? And not only that, it's going to tell me how many winners and losers I can expect. So my losing streak, as you can see here, is going to be 4, which is very similar to what I've already experienced. And I said on the previous video that I had a 3 to 4 trade losing streak. And obviously right here, the data on this simulator is telling me I should experience a 3 to 4, well, 4 at worst, max worst, 4 losing streak, which again, I only experienced a 3 losing streak, and then I had a 12 winning streak after that. So you can see here how the data is going to let you trade a lot more effectively when you do have these moments when you lose 4 in a row. You know it's all a part of the data, and you know you're not going to break the account, because I'm taking the account up 49% over 100 trades. Now let's bring this down to 15. Let's see if the data changes. Right, so out of 15 trades, again, max losers I'm going to experience as roughly 4. Max winners is going to be 8. Okay, but either way, the equity curve is still going up, but this is probably roughly going to be a month's worth of performance. Again, the biggest drawdown I can experience in a month is 4%, but my average performance is going to be 5%, right? Growth. So if I can do 5% in a month, that's fantastic. I don't need any more than that. That's perfect. So again, these tools that you can use to put into your account is going to be a game changer. Again, let's just put in a 400k account here when we're fully funded on FTMO. Let's put in a year's worth of trades, 180 on average for me, and let's do start simulation. Right, so again, the data changes a little bit because we've got a lot more trades to use for a sample size, but this is roughly what mine is going to be over a year. So 16 consecutive winners, 7 consecutive losers. Max drawdown I can experience is 8.7%. Again, not violating FTMO's rules. And the return is going to be 100% return, which is, again, insane over a year's time. Because if you did that, 400, obviously it's going to be slightly different because you're going to be doing this monthly. And you get 80% of it is 320. And then you can just say divide that by 12 is roughly 26k, which is perfectly fine, right? But at least then you know you have a blueprint of what to kind of expect. You know, if you have a wobbly moment of 7 losers in a row, you're still not going to violate the rules, because don't forget, guys, you will have winning streaks and losing streaks, and this is going to tell you the odds of those streaks playing out and what's likely to happen. And as you can see here from the data, from the strategy, it works perfectly well. So this is going to be super helpful for my students as well to physically see the data of the edge they've got, right? And not to worry when they do have a wobbly, because the edge is going to play out. I say all the time, trust the process, let the numbers do its thing. And now this is the numbers projecting into the future by 180 trades. And as you can see, it works brilliantly. Yes, you can expect a little bit of drawdown, but that's not going to allow you to violate the FTMO rules or most prop firm rules. FTMO are still the GOAT, but they are still the hardest to pass. And if you can clearly get 100% returns over a year and not have a violation of their account, then that's perfectly fine, right? Obviously, this doesn't mean that you're not going to blow an account, because you will have human moments where you just go screw it and just mess up your plan completely. But again, that's a skill set you're going to have to learn over the time as a developing trader, to learn that discipline and just to walk away. But no one's perfect. But at least you know your edge worked perfectly fine. So guys, I hope that has been a massive eye-opener for you. It was for me. Again, big shout out to the Lark Funding guy and giving me knowledge of these websites to check my edge, because if I didn't know, I already knew from me experiencing it, forward testing it, back testing it, and my results, as you guys seen from the previous video. But I never could really test into the future for a whole year to see what I'm going to expect without actually living that whole year. But now, thanks to these websites, I can kind of see a rough blueprint of what I can expect for a whole year trading how I trade. So that's invaluable information for me, and hopefully it's going to be invaluable information for you. Again, the links are down below. Share it with the prop firm, share it with Lark Funding, give them flowers, say, hey, by the way, this makes a lot of sense because it is a great video, so watch it after this or watch my previous one after this. So you can see where I've got that data from, because it is very informative of how I got that information to put into this website. And if you don't have that information, then I highly recommend you you journal properly. Because if I didn't, I would be lost, and I would be like, how do I play this edge? Is this edge really going to work out? And then if I have that 3 or 4 trade losing streak, I might feel like, oh no, it's not going to work out. I need to change something. When in reality, I don't need to change anything at all. In fact, it works amazingly. That is just a part of the game. I'm going to have a losing streak, I'm going to have a winning streak. But as you can see, my winning streaks are way higher than my losing streaks. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I haven't traded today. It's gone past 10:30. I've got no setups. There's nothing for me to do. What I am going to do this afternoon is play golf. So until then, guys, I'll see you Friday for hopefully a good week.